So Pranay, we will be good to go as soon as you signal to us. Pranay, can we start?
We are live.
Okay. Okay. Dada Sham, honorable members of the management, Sister Shivani, Mr. Chordia, Mr. Thadani, Shri Satya Tripathi ji, principals of various schools and colleges, satsangis, faculty members, and my dear students, my pranams to one and all. Today we are here to pay our homage to our revered master, Dada J.P. Vaswani. Many who saw into his immersive eyes felt that they are seeing the color of godliness. Many who touched the tassels of his shawl felt that they are bowing at a holy altar. His presence was magnetic. Dada's template of spirituality was so simple and yet profound. No wonder then his spiritual charm was cast on the young and the old in India and abroad. To me, beloved Dada was the message and the medium of God. And therefore, his physical loss is colossal. But spiritual lights go on forever and ever. It is therefore up to us now to use a different lens of the eye to see that brilliant light, to explore its brilliance and its beauty. On that note, let us formally start the program, and we will shortly hear the melodious voice and message of beloved Rev Dada J.P. Vaswani.
My friends, God has made a wonderful world, and God wants every one of His children to have a share in the wonders of the wonderful world that He has created. He wants every one of His children to be happy. He wants every one of His children to have a share in the wonders of the wonderful world that He has created. Every one of you is a child of God. You are sons of God. You are daughters of God. And God wants every one of you to live a healthy life, to live a happy life, to live a long life. What is the positive secret? The positive secret of health and happiness is take care of the thoughts that you think. That person is the happiest who thinks the happiest thoughts. That person is the healthiest who thinks the healthiest thoughts. By thinking unhealthy thoughts, your body will never remain healthy. Man is a composite being, built of body, mind and soul. The three must work in harmony. The three must work in balance. If the mind thinks unhealthy thoughts and the soul feels morally unclean, the body cannot remain healthy. The body cannot remain healthy. The guilt of the soul travels to the mind and gradually to the body and makes it sick. Therefore, if you have done something of which you feel guilty, without the least delay, immediately you must go and live a reformed life. Otherwise, you will be dragged into a sickness out of which you will not be able to come out. We have the words in the Bhagavad Gita, higher than the body. The words are higher than the senses, which means higher than the body is the mind. And higher than the mind is the Atman, the spirit. If there is guilt in the soul, it will in due course travel to the mind. And from the mind, it will go to the body and make you sick. Therefore, be very careful. You must take care of your thoughts. Your thoughts must be clean. Your thoughts must be pure. You must not think thoughts of envy or jealousy, thoughts of lust, hatred. I say to myself again and again, repeatedly, I say to myself, I must never be jealous of anyone. I must never be envious of anyone. If someone ascends, if someone rises, I rejoice. I believe that resentment, ill will, envy, jealousy, they create disease. They weaken your energy. If you wish to live a healthy life, you must always take care of your heart. There is an eminent doctor, Dr. John A. Schindler. I hope I am not making a mistake. He has written a very important book. The title of this book, I believe some of you have read this book. The title of this book is How to Live 365 Days in a Year. How to live 365 days in a year. This doctor claims, he says, that if only my patients can lift up their thoughts to an area of joy, pure joy, for 10 minutes every day, I can make them well, I can keep them well, and I can help them to live a long life. Never think of yourself as old, or sick, or weary, or tired. Never think of yourself as defeated. All you have to do is to change your negative thoughts into positive ones. And you will continue to remain healthy in body, mind and soul. And help others. You must forget your own comfort and convenience. You must only think of the comfort, the convenience that you can bring to others. Those that are in need of comfort, give them comfort. Those that are in need of joy, give them joy. Keep on doing as much good as you can to as many as you can, in as many ways as you can, on as many occasions as you can, and as long as you can, if you want to live a healthy, happy life. You have heard of John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller, at the age of 53, was regarded as one of the wealthiest men on earth. His income at that time, weekly income, was $1 million. He used to earn $1 million, that is 5 crores of rupees every week. Every week he went on earning 5 crores of rupees. But the solitary and one-pointed pursuit of money ruined his health. He could not eat, he could not sleep. He lost all his hair. Then his biographers tell us that he started using all the money that he had accumulated in the service of suffering humanity, in the service of the handicapped and the halt, the blind, the orphans, the widows. And when he did this, his health improved. He could eat. Otherwise, he could eat only crackers and milk. That is all that he could take. But now he could eat normally. He could sleep normally. He could enjoy life. And the streams of gratitude and love that flowed into his life from those whom he helped gave a new radiance to his life. This man, this billionaire, lived up to the age of 98. 98, just because from his 54th year he started serving suffering humanity. I could give you many other instances and illustrations, but there is no time to do so. Let me close my talk to you with the words of my beloved master, Sadhu Vaswani. He said on one occasion, I have but one tongue, but if I have 1,000,000 tongues, with every one of those tongues, I would still utter the one word, give, give, give. For they that give live. Those that do not give are no better than dead souls. He also said on a memorable occasion, everything that we have, our time, our talents, our knowledge, our experience, our wisdom, our properties, our possessions, our strength, our vitality, our bank accounts, our life itself, everything that we have is a loan, mind you, a loan which has been given to us to be passed on to those whose need is greater than ours. May these words of the Master ring in your hearts like a temple bell as you return to your homes tonight, and your coming to this meeting will not be in vain. I thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
That was Dada, simply love. Friends, the constellation of Dada's work and teachings is huge. We are here to recall beloved Dada's teachings and contributions in just a few areas. These areas being education, spiritual upliftment, well-being, and business ethics and excellence. We have eminent speakers who will guide us through. Let us begin with our very own Didi Krishna. Didi Krishna is the working chairperson of the Sadhu Vaswani mission. When I think of her, I feel she has been born with treasures. Treasures associated of being in the company of two big masters, Master Sadhu T.L. Vaswani and beloved Rev Dada J.P. Vaswani. She's been nurtured in an environment marked by the trinity of Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Didi has the light of the masters upon her soul. I recall here a couplet from a poem. Are there angels here beside us as we journey life's winding road? Sent from heaven here to guide us along future paths unknown. Beloved Dada once in his talk hinted at Didi Krishna being an angel. Didi is guiding many today on life's journey. I welcome you, Didi, and request you to bless us with your words.
My very, very dear ones, it is a blessing for me to be a part of this beautiful seminar that has been organized to mark the 103rd Mahayagna of our very, very dear spiritual leader, our guide, our mentor, our guru, revered Dada J.P. Vaswani. The very first thought that crossed my mind was that beloved Dada would have simply laughed at the idea of this seminar. He would have said to us, I am not a teacher. Rather, I have come here to learn from each and every one of you. To him, life was a school and experience was a teacher. That is what made him the greatest of teachers. Today, we talk of continuous learning, of lifelong learning. But for beloved Dada, indeed, every day was a day of learning. And he said, the day on which I have not learned something new is a lost day indeed. From nature, he said, from the stars, from the moon, from the sun, from the trees, from the rivers, I learned the lesson of unconditional giving. From Mother Earth, I learned the lesson of patience and forbearance. From the white sky and the vast space, I realize how insignificant man is compared to the magnificent universe. The dawn of every single new day heralds God's hope and love for mankind. My dear ones, our most beloved Dada was love personified. Love flowed, it simply flowed from him spontaneously, freely, and it flowed to all. It transcended all boundaries, all divisions, all demarcations. His love was the light that kindled hope, that kindled joy in innumerable hearts. I recall how one day a man came to beloved Dada and said to him, Beloved Dada, can you please give me a spiritual teaching? And Dada, as usual, with a sense of humor, said to him, yes, I believe that more than spiritual teaching, we need spiritual living. And then Dada narrated to him a very funny story, an amusing story. Dada said to him, there were two brothers, they were twins, and they were identical. People could never make out the difference. One was a doctor and one was a preacher. One day, when the doctor was crossing the road, a man tapped him from behind and said to him, yesterday your sermon was too heavy for all of us. This doctor looked at him and said, my dear friend, I'm not the one who preaches, I'm the one who practices. Yes, and beloved Dada's life was his teaching. As I said, his message is universal. It is applicable to all times and it transcends all boundaries, all races, all religions. Mainly, his emphasis was on three things. The first thing he emphasized always on was stay connected. Stay connected. We all seem to be hyper connected, but many of us, we face loneliness. Many of us are stirred by 1,000 fears, which we cannot name. Many of us are depressed. In fact, depression today has become another pandemic. And beloved Dada said, it is only when we are connected to our true self, to our inner self, that we will touch the center of peace. The second thing on which beloved Dada laid emphasis was build your inner strength, develop your inner strength. Yes, life will pose challenges, life will pose problems. There will be situations, people, always whom you will not be able to handle, who will not be your way, but develop inner strength. Once again, I recall a girl, she came to Dada. She said, I'm disturbed. I'm completely distraught. Why do these things happen only to me? Why do problems come to me in an unending procession? And beloved Dada, he heard her so patiently. And then what did he say? He said to her, just take out the word why from your dictionary. And from now on, take this, make this the mantra of your life. All is well. All was well, and all will always be well. Such a simple and a practical solution. And the third thing on which he laid emphasis, which beloved Dada himself gave us in his most wonderful words, life, the purpose of life, it fulfills itself in service. Therefore, go out of your way to bring joy, to bring comfort, to bring hope into the lives of the sorrowful ones. To Dada himself, the entire creation was one family: man, bird, animal, plant, even inanimate objects. He would often tell us, reverence is the fruit of education and service is, reverence is the root of education and service is the fruit of education. My dear ones, once again, I recall that one day Dada was addressing a very crowded gathering, and one lady gets up and she says to Dada, "You are all the time telling us that God exists, but where is God?" And Dada looked at her gently, lovingly, and said to her, "My dear sister, can you tell me where God is not?" For him, every atom pulsated with God, and therefore he recalled the words of the rishis, "Ishavasyam idam sarvam." All that is a vesture of the Lord. One day, a group of young, enthusiastic volunteers came to Dada. As you know, youths, they are always very, very vivacious. And they came and said to Dada, "Dada, we want to reform the world. And before we begin on this, we have come to you for your advice." And Dada once again said to them, "Before you reform the world, my one advice to you would be reform yourself. Begin with yourself first. Be the change that you want to see in another. If you want to reform the society, if you want to reform your nation, if you want to reform the world, begin with yourself." And then Dada passed on to the youths on that day 10 practical tips, which I said I will just mention them to you and share them with you so that you can pick up any of them and make your lives also truly radiant. The first tip that Dada gave them was spend some time in silence every day, just 15 minutes of PQT, personal quiet time. Silence, he said, heals. Silence purifies. Silence strengthens. And above all, silence reveals. Secondly, he said to us, speak sweetly, speak lovingly, speak softly, treat one another with love and respect. Reverence for what is above you, reverence for what is around you, and reverence for what is beneath you. Thirdly, consider only the virtues of others. Do not see the faults in them. Do not be judgmental. Do not think of another's deeds, but just understand their needs. The fourth point, he said, love unconditionally. Do not inquire whether a person deserves your love. That, he said, is not love. It is bargaining. It is trading. That is not love. And the fifth thing he said was, forgive even before forgiveness is asked. Forgive and forget. And remember, forgiveness is not a mark of meekness. In fact, it is a mark of strength. Sixthly, remember, this entire world is a stage, and each one of us has been given a role to play. Therefore, do your duties conscientiously, religiously, faithfully, sincerely, but be detached. And therefore, the next point, the seventh point, whatever you do it not for the people, not for receiving praise, approbation, but do it for the pure, pure love of God. And eighthly, rejoice in whatever happens to you, accept, do not resist, do not fight against circumstances, for each and every experience comes with a strength. That strength will help you to move onward, upward, Godward in life. And the ninth suggestion he gave was help as many as you can to lift the load on the rough road of life. And 10th, the last suggestion, stay connected, stay connected, stay connected with the source of power which is within you. For everything that you're looking for outside of you is within you. Yes, today humanity is passing through a dark period. Wherever you turn, there is uncertainty, there is restlessness. people are so fearful. And it is at this point of time that beloved Dada's message is so relevant. Today, yes, our brains have become more and more sharpened. Our intellect is sharpened, but our hearts have hardened. Our lives have become so mechanical. Technological progress has been made. Yes, our lives have become comfortable, but they have become so complicated. Thirdly, scientific progress has been made. So many inventions have been made, but we have not discovered ourselves, and therefore we are unhappy. And we all believe that it is Dada's perennial message of love, of compassion, of oneness, of brotherhood, of harmony that will usher in a new, bright, wonderful age. Yes, indeed, my friends, beloved Dada's life is his message. Beloved Dada himself is what the Gita describes as the ideal man, as what the Sukhmani Sahib describes as the Puran Puruk, the perfect man. His message is all inclusive, all embracing. It is timeless. It is deathless. Let us pick up just one message of his and try to implement it in our daily lives. This is the blessing that I seek of each and every one of you today. My dear ones, stay protected, stay connected, and stay blessed. Darasha.
Thank you, Didi, for very beautifully and succinctly bringing to us Dada's message. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Sister Shivani. There is magic in her words, in her smile, in her very being. Her presence has a calming effect, and her simple messages cajole you into embracing the higher values of life. My dear students, are you aware that Sister Shivani is a gold medalist from the University of Pune in electronics engineering? To my mind, she today is a spiritual engineer, building networks, building bridges on which we can lovingly walk on the final destination. Sister Shivani, I welcome you once again. My devout pranams to you, and I request you to speak on Dada's spiritual nuggets.
Om Shanti. It's such a fortune to be here with this divine family created by the divine parent and so closely connected. And each time Sister Krishna was saying, stay connected, stay connected, stay connected. So it rings a very powerful affirmation in the mind because every time we hear stay connected, stay connected. And so even if we take one word of everything that she shared with us about Dadaji, and of course, the powerful beginning of Dadaji's words. And while we saw the video, I'm sure each one of us must have felt it's not a video. I'm sure we must have felt it's not a video because the vibrations, the aura, the energy of an angel is always there. It's always there with us. And I'm sure in the last 3 years, we haven't felt a single moment as if he was not there, because the teachings are there, the love is there, and most important, the divine vibrations always there, which keep us connected to the divine parent, to the spiritual master, to ourselves, and also to each other, And that's why this beautiful rosary of the divine family will always remain connected with those divine vibrations and love. As we heard, Dadaji is very, very simple, as always, very, very simple, but as always, extremely powerful. Even one line can change life for anybody. And as he was saying the words towards the end of the message, give, 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 and give. And I feel let's take that today, because since we have a lot of children here today, and a lot of children who are practicing management principles are going to become leaders of tomorrow, and we have leaders of today also. When we hear this word, give, 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 so what is it, the message that it comes to me? Each one needs to think, what can I give, give, and give? Because somewhere the world is programming us to believe acquire, 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 acquire. And then suddenly we hear give, give, give. So it's two absolutely contradicting messages. So the world says acquire, and the more you acquire, the successful you are. That's what we learn every day from the world. So and so acquired so much more, so successful, ranked higher, went number one, should not go number two, is in terms of what? Acquire, acquire, acquire. And as a society, we called acquiring as success. So whether as a child I come first in school, in whatever field, but if I top, I perform well, I'm called successful. Then as I grow and I go in my profession, if I achieve and I go higher in my profession, the world calls it successful. Nobody checks my values, my principles, my sanskars, my way of living, even my health, like we so beautifully heard. Nobody checks that. Everybody says very successful. Based on what? Acquire. And if we look at the word safalta, because successful means safalta in Hindi. So safalta comes from the word safal. And safal, like suppose you use your time in a worthwhile way, you've done something which is for the benefit of people. So people will say, आपने आज का दिन सफल किया, which means you used your time, your day, your life in a worthwhile way. So the word safal means like this, which means you've used it in a beneficial way. But when we translated it, we changed the meaning. Now we don't say successful means who's a giver. We are saying successful means who is an achiever. And then Dadaji shared so powerfully that someone who was only an achiever, an achiever, an achiever was actually not healthy. Was not healthy, which doesn't mean those who are achievers are not healthy, but it's just that if they are not giving along with achieving, so it's not the achieving which is the problem. It's just that giving should be a part of life. Giving should be our nature. Giving should be a priority. Achieving is automatically going to happen, but giving should be our priority. And like we heard from Didi, everything in nature is giving and giving unconditionally. But we are part of the same nature. We are part of Prakriti. Why today we are stressed, anxious, jealous, irritated, all those words that Dadaji shared, guilty, because we shifted from our original nature of giving. And we said wanting, 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 desires never ending. इच्छाएं खत्म ही नहीं होती हैं. Desires never ending, and comparing with ourselves with others, who's ahead of me? Who do I have to go ahead of? Only based on acquiring. So dena, 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 giving will make us divine souls. Divinity. We all want to be divine, right? Because that's what we revere in Dadaji, the divinity, the purity, the humility. Divinity comes with only one thing, giving. Giving. Because opposite of divinity is ego. Is ego. I once asked Dadaji, Dadaji, what is spirituality for you? And he smiled and he said humility. And I was waiting. I thought what is spirituality would be a long answer, right? Because what is spirituality is what I asked. And I thought he'll give me one long answer. And he said humility. And I said, Hanji Dadaji. I was thinking he's going to share something else. And he said, Nahi, only that much. Spirituality is humility. Simple. That's the purpose of life. Spirituality is humility, and that is divinity. That is that white divine aura which we see in the pictures and the portraits of our deities, of our prophets, of our saints, of our masters. It's that white aura of divinity. So, what is going to create that white aura? The giving nature. So, giving not necessarily physical things. As a student, we might feel, but I don't have wealth, but I don't have anything that I can give to the world. Well, giving only means give love, give respect, give gratitude, give blessings. Don't stand like this in life. I want love, I want respect, I want people to appreciate me, people should accept me. This will always stagnate us. This will always deplete us because purity, love, happiness, respect. This is our nature. And when we remain connected to our own nature, and when we remain connected to that ocean of purity, love, and happiness, Paramatma, God, then we're just going to fill ourselves and give it to the world. And the more we stand like this, we think we are empty and we need the world to fill us. We need people to be nice to us to be happy. We need to acquire something to be happy. We need to go somewhere to feel peaceful. So everything that is ours, we're looking for it outside. We're looking for it outside because we believe, I want, I want, I want. So giving is the mantra. Very beautifully shared, very beautifully understood, I'm sure, today. And most important, don't call acquiring as successful. It is only an achievement. It is only one part of life, what we achieve. It's not success. Success will be when we're always happy, always healthy, always beautiful relationships, and we achieve as per our capacity. Everyone will achieve as per a certain capacity. IQ can be different for all. Effort can be different for all, but giving can be same for everyone. That is not genetic, that is not coming from parents, that is not coming from any resources. That's our human nature. And so spiritual quotient and emotional quotient can be highest for each one. That's not going to be first, second, third, fourth in class. That's going to be highest for everyone. So let's prioritize sanskars over performance, people over performance. Not only who's a performer, oh, they are the best person in the class, or they are the best person in society because they're performing. Sanskars of the individual, because sanskar creates our sansar. Everybody is waiting for a beautiful world. It will not happen with achievements. We tried that. It's not happened. But what we need is beautiful sanskars. And that is what Dadaji has always taught us. But as we learn it, like Didi said, let's become it. Let's live it. Let's practice it. And as we practice, we will work hard, we will achieve, but we will not keep achievement as our definition of success. We will keep our sanskar as a definition of success, and achievement as a part of life. As a part of life. And as we create and work on our sanskars, cleanse all those negative words which Dada shared today, guilt, hurt, jealousy. So beautifully he said, you're jealous when someone else does well? Yes. Why do we feel jealous? Because we think they're more successful than us. That's the reason why we're jealous. Because we thought those who achieve more are successful, but I want to be successful. The other person is more successful than me. Then I create jealousy. And as I create jealousy, I deplete my purity. I deplete my purity. So as we work on our sanskars, we will cleanse all those negative emotions. We will fill ourselves up with God's love and power, and we will become a giver to the world. We will become a giver to the world. And this, so seva, the giving, the divinity, and only then we will be able to create Satyug. Because Satyug, the new world, means divine souls. All souls will be divine souls. So let's shift today. That's the best gift we can give Dada. We can't even visualize how happy he will be to see all of us just shifting within from asking and wanting to giving and giving. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today, part of this divine family. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Sister Shivani, listening to you makes me speechless. And I can only say you simply fascinate. And I wish to take you on your promise of giving. We are not happy with just this one visit. We want you to give us more of you. And maybe in a short time from now, when the COVID conditions ease, we would like you once again to come and address us and be with our students. We really need this kind of message and a beautiful interpretation of Dada's teachings. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shanti.
Om Shanti. Yes. And now let's move forward. We have the honor to have with us Sri Satya Tripathi. Simply put, he is an alchemist and a man blessed with qualities of the head and the heart. A development economist, lawyer, and change maker, Honorable Tripathi ji is Secretary General of the Global Alliance for a Sustainable Planet, Chancellor of the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences. He has served with the UN for more than 2 decades in key positions and was most recently the UN Assistant Secretary General, Head of New York Office at UN Environment, and Secretary of the UN Environment Management Group. Mr. Tripathi is credited with starting innovative programs where he has leveraged private finance for public good to achieve transformative social and environmental impact for millions of people in developing countries. Today, he will speak on Dada's message of well-being and sustainability. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And greetings, Sister Krishna and Sister Shivani. I have followed your insights and work for a long time. So, and every time I listen to you, I'm so inspired. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for inspiring generations upon generations of young people to think right and to do something meaningful with their lives, because there's nothing more important than that. And there's nothing more succinctly something that encapsulates everything that Dada J.P. Vaswani stood for. Sustainability is something that I'm supposed to speak about today, but I think what is more important even compared to sustainability is going back to the source. And both of you talked about Mother Nature. We often, depending on how demonstrative we are or how expressive we are, we talk very glowingly of our mothers. And of course, everything I am, I owe it to my mother as well. But more than that, I owe it to Mother Nature, because I won't be here but for the magical ways of Mother Nature that over billions of years has created these millions of species, and we being one of them. And in our arrogance, we forget often that we are just one of the 8 million species that inhabit the planet. And sustainability is about respect, which is what both of you talked about so eloquently. And respect is not about respecting just a fellow human. Respect is about respecting everything that exists around us, living and not living as well. Because what we see as a fossil today lived at some point of time. So they are an expression of that life form. And in nature's circular arrangement, the fossil becomes fossil fuel that gives us mobility and that gives us the possibility to travel far and wide. But that was a life form at some point of time, whether it was a plant or an animal or a human. It was a life form. So everything that exists in nature is circular. So from dust we rise and to dust we return. That's, I think that the best teaching, when I was roughly 10 or 11, if I remember correctly, I had gotten all the 700 shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita by heart. And because my father asked me to stand in front of the Tulsi plant in our house, in our courtyard, and recite a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita every day. So, you are a little boy and you're reciting a chapter every day. So 18 days, it repeats itself. So you don't have to make an effort. 10 or 20 repetitions later, you actually have everything in your head. And then, when I went to him and asked him, I said, I think I remember everything. He said, do you know anything? I said, well, I have been reciting them. He said, what do they stand for? What is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita? What is dharma? What is respect? What is doing your duty without expecting results? Nishkama karma. And that's what I think when Dada J.P. Vaswani talks about giving and love, that's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Doing what is right without expecting anything in return. And that's the essence of giving, that you do something that you don't expect anything in return. You do it because it is right. And that's what nature has done for billions and billions of years. And so whether it's the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals that I've been working on for decades, or the core principles of sustainability, they all revolve around Mother Nature's act of unconditional giving. People often ask about sustainability, about agriculture, the chemicals that we use to sustain ourselves. And I ask them in return, have you ever been to a forest where anybody has put a pinch of chemical fertilizer? Forests are the most vibrant, living, breathing spaces on the planet. Nobody has ever put a pinch of fertilizer there. They live so magnificently, forever, in a circular motion. So the plants fall, the leaves fall on the ground, they turn to humus, then that becomes fertilizer that then sustains the tree. And then there is, in a magical way, something called the predator-prey relationship between trees and the millions of life forms that live below the soil, the microbes. So the trees produce all the energy through photosynthesis, through the power of the sun falling on their leaves. And they produce the energy that then goes through their root system to the soil below, and the microbes actually live off it. That's when they are the predators. But then they become prey in the evening, because then the tree produces no energy, but must sustain itself till next morning when the sun shines again. And then it takes back. And in that circular motion, everybody lives. Not one lives at the expense of everybody else. That's what we humans have become. And that is why the message of compassion, the message of love, the message of unconditional giving, the message of working tirelessly to uplift humanity, all of which Dada J.P. Vaswani stood for, is so important that we allow that to resonate within our hearts, within our minds, within our thoughts, and within, most importantly, our deeds. Because talk is cheap, as they say. And I was recently in a conference of a whole lot of ministers, and I was telling them, I said, I forgive for being perhaps flippant in this, but the road to nothing is paved with great conversations. So you can keep talking and talking and talking. And in the last 30 years, we have been talking about climate change. We have done precious little, so that we are actually at the threshold of a meltdown of the complete planetary system, where, of course, the humans will suffer. But with us, we will make every other species suffer. There has never been a single instance of this level of arrogance in any species in the entire history of the universe. Even when the dinosaurs went away millions of years ago, it was because of a planetary event, because of asteroids. The dinosaurs didn't do it to the other species or themselves. We are doing it to ourselves and every species that coexists with us. We really need to stop. We really need to act, and we need to think deeply as to what consequences our actions and our behaviors is having on the planet. And with that, I want to conclude with the message that the young people are the real hope, and you can really change the conversation. Please break this conspiracy of silence. When you are around your dinner tables, in your hostels, with your friends, start a conversation on what is happening to the environment, what is happening to the climate, and what can you as individuals, or as a community of students, or as spiritual personalities, do to change the conversation into action. Because act we must, and act we must now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Satya Tripathi ji. Your talk resonates with us. Your talk resonates with the teachings of both the masters. And of course, you would know this, but both the masters often told us, if you have to learn anything, go in the lap of nature, sit beneath the trees and learn from Mother Earth. They were messiahs of love and compassion. There are several stories where they have gone out of their way to save the smallest insect and the smallest animal including, putting up a proposal that you take my head, but save the head of a cow or a goat. They even went to the extent of saying, do not pluck flowers because they have families. And they sound it all by saying, creation is one family. Thank you for that very beautiful message and its connection with Rev Dada's teachings. We now move on to our next track. Ladies and gentlemen, Dada had a very unique model of character building education. Why not explore this model from the lens of a visionary leader and an institution builder? I'm talking about Mr. Vijay Thadani. Mr. Vijay Thadani is the VC and the MD of NIIT Limited and the co-founder of NIIT University. He is credited with providing an accelerator to the IT industry by giving them ready-made skilled manpower. You would like to know that NIIT has its footprint in more than 40 countries, and this feat rests easily with Mr. Thadani. I welcome you, sir, and request you to deconstruct for us Dada's model of education and what kind of returns on investment does this bring about? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sister Krishna, Sister Shivani. It's indeed a privilege and honor to be here amongst you. Thank you very much for including me in this discussion, which I must admit to the engineer in me is far above me, though I understand most of it, but I don't practice much of what I heard. The second thing, for giving me this topic to speak on, where I would make a disclaimer at the upfront itself, and that is that I am at best in kindergarten where it comes to Dada's teachings. I'm still learning. And therefore, I am trying to implement one Dada's quote, which I read recently. And he said, every day I must try to do something I think I cannot do. So this is something that I'm going to try to do, which I know I cannot do. So let me see what comes out of it. It will be very important for us to look at education, and I kept my focus on management education since I thought this webinar is being held under the auspices of the Management Institute. And I said we need to look at the current pandemic, the management education, and then see where is Dada's model of character building education fitting in. I want to say upfront, it not only fits in, it fits in beautifully, and in fact is the need of the hour. So let me just go through the current situation very quickly, then a little bit on management education and what are the changes which are taking place, and therefore how do we get Dada's teachings. So first, now I used to say 1 year for a long period of time. I'm realizing it's now become 1.5 years, has been a time when I think humanity has changed beyond recognition. So truly speaking, there is a period called pre-COVID. And then there is a period called COVID. I don't know if there is a period called post-COVID that we can imagine. But definitely right now the COVID is on. But in this, the positive things which have happened is that workplace and education, they have changed beyond recognition. Everything that we were kind of rooted in has got uprooted. And I think there is a way of looking at it which is positive, which is what you have taught us since morning as well. Our education system responded to the pandemic, I must say, with great alertness and with great urgency, of course, with mixed results. right? So we can't say that the digital model of education is here to stay. It will require a lot of work, and at our university, we are doing extensive research on that. But it has also shown that human beings are capable of great innovation and technological changes. A vaccine created in 1 year's time, no scientist in their senses would have imagined that could ever be possible. The fact that we are able to function from home, we can get cured at home, learn at home, get entertained at home, and we have been able to change this style of living, I think also shows that human beings have tremendous flexibility built into them. But we don't get to use those muscles very often because we are bound by the systems that are defined by somebody else. We also saw a great display of empathy. We saw a great display of a selfless desire to help others. We saw a great display of a feeling of oneness and a resilient attitude. We will win. I think that has really helped the humanity a lot. But it has exposed the underbelly, the weak underbelly that we have been carrying with us. So now, moving to some realities which we can imagine after COVID or as COVID ebbs off. And these need to find expression in the management education. So though it was known for a long period of time that automation is coming at a very, very fast pace, COVID has only accelerated that impact. And the acceptance of automation and of artificial intelligence, the intensity of this will increase dramatically in times to come. And it will not only affect those who are concerned with technology, but it will affect just about everybody in the world. So you cannot ignore that. The workplace will not be the same. It will not be fully at home. It will not be half at home, half at office. It may be a flexible workplace where you can operate from wherever you want. Now, this changes the whole model of management very dramatically. We are into a gig economy. My father joined an organization and worked there for life. That's what most of our parents do, or my parents did. We maybe change one, maybe two jobs. But now we are getting into a gig economy where a person will be with you for 6 to 8 months. How do you build the organization values in a person who's only going to be with you for 6 to 8 months? How do you make that person learn and imbibe those values and demonstrate those values? Human beings will be sitting next to robots. The object next to you on the next table may be a robot. And we have a choice either to become robots or make that robot into a human being. We can try our hands on both. I think it will be easier for human beings to become robots than for robots to become human beings. But then in this, if managers have to manage, then they not only require extreme technological skills and innovation and continuous problem solving, I think now they need some new level of socio-economics, socio-emotional skills. The whole skill of empathy, interpersonal relationships. One might argue, why interpersonal relationships? We are not going to be sitting next to each other. Actually, that's the need. Sister Krishna just said, depression is itself becoming a pandemic. That is coming out of loneliness. So how do we build interpersonal relationships when people are not sitting next to each other? Let's also realize that the pandemic has also increased the gap between the haves and have-nots. Despite all that we are trying to do and give, the gap between haves and have-nots has increased. The short relationship horizons that we are getting ready for now requires an absolutely different model of education. So management education at one time used to be about managing five M's of management. men, machine, materials, methods, and money. Now there is a sixth dimension which has come in. And I'm so happy that I heard Didi Krishna talk about it. I heard Sister Shivani talk about it. The human mind. The human mind has become one very, very important element that needs to be managed for us to be effective in life. So the sixth M of management is the human mind. In fact, we call it the century of the mind. This century is the century of the mind, not of machines. Machines have become incidental. So the managers of today will need to, or tomorrow, will need to demonstrate flexibility, adaptability, sensitivity, and empathy in just about everything they do. Let's look back at our books of education, management education, and ask ourselves, how many tick marks can we put against each of these? And I think the answer will lie there. And that plus a change in attitude. An attitude change will be again a very, very important necessity. We have been taught that business is a zero-sum game. Zero-sum is an American terminology. If two teams play, one wins. Can we imagine a match in which two teams play and both win? Can we say that we can move from competitiveness to collaboration? So we are taught in management school how to be more competitive. How can we be more collaborative? If really we have to build strong relationships, how can we convert conflict into cooperation? How can we move from criticism to positivity? How can we start thinking of what can go wrong, changing to what can go right? Because there is something right about everything, including COVID. COVID has done so many things, brought families together who for long periods of time had not spoken to each other, amongst many, 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 many things. And how do we build not just a value-driven organization, which is a complete in itself, but an organization becoming a beacon of values for the rest of the society? And how do we make sure that organizations are not managed? They are led, they are self-managed, but they are led by example. And I think this is the form of management education. If it has to be implemented, then Dada's model of character building comes in. I have read a little bit about it, and I thought it fits in beautifully. Character. Character itself defined as integrity, saying what you will do. And then authenticity, doing what you said you will. Courage, courage to say what is not right and needs to be corrected. Respect, irrespective of whoever you are or whoever is in front of you, respect for that other human being. A discipline of yourself, a compassion for all those who are missing things. And then fair citizenship are some of the dimensions of character which I think now needs to be taught in management schools. Both of you spoke so beautifully about the attitude of giving, seva, which is the second virtue which Dada's model of character building, character-based education is. You said it in many words. We say it, I'm saying it from a technology person's view. We say in internet, the more you give, the more you get. So if you are giving more, you will automatically get more. Today, I understood from both of you the philosophical meaning of giving. I understood the technical meaning of giving long time ago. So the more you give, the more you get is an approach that we have to say. Not the more you take, the more you get, but the more you give, the more you get. There are treasures hidden in our Indian ideals. Our strong, our very, very rich history has many, many lessons. And I think, I believe history is another subject which needs to be taught very, very heavily in education. It was not taught to us, but I think it is something which can actually give you a lot of inputs. Reverence for all life. I heard Dr. Tripathi talk about sustainability and climate. And I think reverence for all life, in Dada's simple words, actually says it all. How do we build respect for just about everything that is around us? And then cultivation of the soul, which is in its purest form, a systemic, intentional, and concerted effort to develop compassion, forgiveness. And I think Sister Shivani said, spirituality is humility, so beautifully. Now, interestingly, all these are a part of the new education policy, which the government of India has just announced. It is so beautifully out there. And I was part of that exercise, a very, very small part of the very large exercise, and have interacted a lot. And these are messages which are expected from the future of education. And I think Dadaji has talked about it many, many decades ago. In fact, his book, New Education for a New World, in 2011 or 13, I think laid the foundation of this thought. In September 2016, the letter that he wrote to, or the article which he wrote, which resulted in an interview with the Prime Minister Modi, where he gave him the message of what the new education should be all about, I think is all enshrined in this new education policy that we have. So from a policy framework, we have it all. I think we now have to implement it in our respective institutions. So I would like to summarize by saying that Dada's teachings are not just good for today or good for tomorrow. They are good for today and must for tomorrow, if we have to manage a world which will be the post-COVID world. Dada Shah.
Thank you, Mr. Thadani. I knew that, as a visionary leader, you will definitely guide us as to where management education is headed. Beloved Sadhu Vaswani and also Rev Dada J.P. Vaswani were great visionaries, and they knew that education is moving towards sharpening the head, but the intellect is not developed. The seat of emotions, the heart, is not developed. And therefore, in all our institutions, starting from St. Mira's schools, St. Mira's colleges, and all the Sadhu Vaswani institutes of learning, promote an education of the heart, because the visionary saints knew where the world is heading, knew about the importance of all of these virtuous characteristics in man that alone can help us to survive COVID or any other pandemic. On a different note, sir, Dada believed that love can change hearts. It can even melt stones. So maybe we could try giving love to robos and humanizing them as well. Probably you could consider that as a paradigm shift. Thank you, sir, for your words. We now move on to our next track, and we have with us Mr. Vishal Chordia. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, spirituality and business excellence, chalk and cheese. Can business profit from spiritual wisdom? Profits, productivity, work ethics, compassion, empathy. Let's explore Dadanomics. Dadanomics, business economics of Dada's spiritual wisdom. This we will hear from none other than Mr. Vishal Chordia. Shri Chordia is the Director, Strategy and Marketing for a business brand, which is in fact a household name, Praveen Masale. Recipient of several prestigious awards, Mr. Chordia is the chairman of the Maharashtra State Khadi and Village Industries Board. He's also the co-founder and president of Lakshya Sports Foundation. We are waiting to hear you, Mr. Chordia. Over to you.
Thank you. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Thank you very much. Jai Satchidanand to all. I feel it is a great privilege and honor to be part of this Dada's family and an important day of everyone's life. It is also a great fortune and honor to be part of such an eminent panelist and speakers. Like Dada, even today I'm just a student and I'm learning every day, and that has been one of the most important parameter of our living. And as far as business is concerned, I always felt that unless and until even during business you do not suffer or you do not get problems, you do not ask the real question, and the question is of purpose, that why are we doing this business? And eventually during finding that question, we actually start asking more deeper question, that what is the purpose of our life? And we realize that business is just one part of our life. Even in our ancient Hindu literature, we will always find a word upajivika. So even in the times of Rishi Munis or in the times of saints, business has always been nomenclature as upajivika, which is not the prime purpose of life. It is always a or a sub purpose of life. And in my journey, when I was 20 years old and we had to kind of have a new family arrangement and got into a business, I realized that life is so uncertain externally. You do not have any controls on the external environments, either of business or of life. And what generally controls you is what power you have within you. And then you start asking these fundamental questions, that how do I look at life? In this journey of mine, when I actually started looking after our business, that time it was a very Pune district or few districts of Pune. We had dependency of around few hundred people with us. Today we have our business expanded to 16 states and 47 countries globally, and there are more than 5,000 plus families dependent on our business. But in this journey, what has helped us, or in this growth, what has helped us is the teachings of all the spiritual leaders. Dada, I was fortunate to get blessings of Dada in last few years, thanks to Rakesh and Rajan Navani and family. I was very fortunate to get those blessings. But what I've also realized that when we look at business as growth, one of the Dada's teaching which is so important, that there has to be an internal growth as well as external growth. And when you have this internal growth, which is based on value system and spiritual teachings, I think the outcome external is far more positive, effective, long lasting and impactful. In our journey, we have made sure that we take care of our team members, rather employees. We do not call them employees, we call them family members. So all our extended family has been given these teachings on every one day of a week. So every Thursday we have these satsangs in our factory for our workers for 45 minutes, which is part of their working hours. And we make sure that everybody in our factory, everybody in our team also aligned to a similar thought process of giving, thought process of love, thought process of togetherness. And that has actually helped us grow to where we are today. one of the very important teaching of Dada, which I always feel very important, is about the anger. So Dada says that burn anger, because anger is just one letter short of danger. So how do we look at ourselves, our life? And I also felt this teaching of Dada's has helped us to also look at our competition. So many a times people ask me, what do you think of competition? Because business is all about competition. Business is all about acquiring something, and it is not about giving, which another teaching of Dada says. But here I feel we are not acquiring competitors' business. We are here to serve our consumers and customers. So the entire approach towards our business is not what competition is doing and how much I can grab from the competition, but rather how can I serve my customer better. So against that anger and competition, we have this philosophy of give, 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 which Dada has so beautifully narrated, that we are here to give more to our customers. We are here to give more to our employees. We are here to give more to our suppliers, more to our farmers, more to people at large, and more to Mother Nature, because somewhere we also have practices to follow where we do not let the degradable waste get into the system. So we have our own processes where we also try to protect Mother Nature from the acts we have defined in our processes. So one of the teaching of Dada on anger and about the consumers, there's another very interesting teaching of Dada which I think is resonate perfectly for the leadership. So Dada said the worst thing that can happen to man is that he has a hot head and a cold heart. I think this implies beautifully to a good leadership. So leadership is all about listening to team. Leadership is all about giving them empowerment. Leadership is all about experimenting with teams, with people, and make sure finally they live up to what they are supposed to do in their job function. So I think this very important teaching of not having hot head and cold heart is one of the very, very crucial and important parameter of a leadership, that how a leadership should be. He should have a very, very cool head and a warm heart, and which is more welcoming. I mean, and that becomes the unconditional approach towards life. And I think business is all about we growing. Business is all about growth. Everybody looks at business as growth. And I also truly believe it is of growth, but it is growth together with external growth and achievement with detachment, and internal growth with spiritual teachings and the right ethics and principles. There's a lot to talk, but I'm sure we have short of time here. I have also kind of made a list of some of the Dada's teachings, and we have made some plaques in our offices and in our factories where those teachings are seen by people, visitors, customers, and that kind of influence, it also eradicates the aura, like Sister Shivani said, and which was so true, that when Dada was speaking today on screen, it was absolutely a real experience. I mean, I could feel his energy coming through from the screen. I think that was so phenomenal. I really want to thank you all for allowing me to be part of this very, very divine gathering of Dada's family. Personally, I want to thank Rakesh Navani for inviting me to this amazing gathering. It was a great experience and a learning session. Actually, I have learned throughout the process, and that was the best part. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. And I will be happy to be part of whatever projects or endeavors you guys are doing, I'll be happy to contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chordia. Believe me, all my students were all ears listening to your wonderful case study. And I'm sure some of them are going to pick this up and actually publish a case on you, you know. So it will be in the case center wherein we will highlight this, that workplace spirituality is what actually leads to success. Sir, you will be happy to know that we are introducing a course on workplace spirituality, wherein we are embedding Dada's wonderful teachings so that our managers go out in the world with a cool head and a sensitive feeling heart. You seem to have, you know, captured Dada's beautiful saying, make God your partner. Ladies and gentlemen, you will know the secret of his success. It's a 700 crore company. And Mr. Chordia is a third generation entrepreneur, and we are waiting to learn from you. We will take you up on your offer that we will have a long synergistic alliance. This I promise you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. With this, we are now moving to the winding up session. This has indeed been such an enlightening session. I feel like raising a toast to my beloved Dada JP Vaswani. So much done, so unselfishly, and so much with love. My heart is full of gratitude for all that the Master has done for each one of us. I wish to thank all the speakers. Like master painters, you have sketched Dada's work and contribution into beautiful patterns, vibrant colors. You brought it out so well and gifted it to each one of us here. We value your canvas. We value your creation. Thank you so much, each one of you. I wish to specially thank Rakesh and Rajan Navani, dear Manju, Pranay, for all the back-end support and several others who helped me bring this program to fruition. And now I must close this program, this beautiful program where we feel so very blessed with a word of, with a song which praises the Lord and which says, thank you, God. Today we return saying, thank you, God, for giving us our beloved, revered Dada JP Vaswani. I wish you had given us more years with him, because this dil mange more. Over to Kapil Gulwani for this closing prayer.
दादा श्याम, प्रभु तेरी ही कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है, करते हो तुम प्रभु जी, मेरा नाम हो रहा है। प्रभु तेरी ही कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है, तकलीफ और तंगी में नूरिक तू ही मददगार, उठाए हैं अंजलि के जन्मों के सारे भार, करता नहीं मैं कुछ भी, सब काम हो रहा है, करते हो तुम ओ दादा, मेरा नाम हो रहा है। दादा तेरी ही कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है, दादा तेरी ही कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है। दादा साहब।
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Yeah, Rakesh ji wanted to speak to Sister Shivani. If sister is still there.
Hanji, I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Rakesh ji, Pranay, please unmute. Yeah.
No, I just said hello to everybody. That's it. Pranams on this lovely occasion. And thank you everyone for a very, very enlightening morning for all of us. Pranams to Dada.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dada Shyam.